Welcome back to Sports Grid, everybody. Brady Cannon here with you live from G2E, the Global Gaming Expo in Las Vegas, Nevada. And we are lucky enough now to be joined by Benji Cherniak. He is the principal at Avenue H Capital. Benji, thank you very much for joining us today.
Brady, thanks for having me on. It's great to talk some shop.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad you stumbled across our set here because you and we share some common ground. You've been in Las Vegas in a previous life for a long time, and I was very familiar with a company you used to own and operate, Don Best, the one and only Don Best. I had no idea that Benji Cherniak was behind all of that.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't just me. There were a few of us. But yeah, I mean, Don Best was a journey, a labor of love over the years, and quite the journey going back to the days of the Don Best screen that everyone knows and loves. And we kind of evolved that company over a number of years to become from the Don Best screen to a provider of proprietary in-play trading and in-play pricing. And, you know, we had our own trading floor in Las Vegas, and, you know, it was a nice journey over a period of many years, as you know. And at the end of the day, it ended up in an M&A situation, and that was kind of a little bit of the story.
Yeah, tell me about the evolution there where it sold to Scientific Games and where you have landed now with Avenue H Capital.
Yeah, I mean, the sale to Scientific Games was a scenario where, you know, Scientific Games, now of course Light and Wonder, you go back to 2017, they had just acquired the OpenBet platform to make a move into the sports betting space. And, you know, with the OpenBet platform, they had some incredible technology, but they were missing some pricing and some expertise in North American sports, with the U.S. market opening up to legislated sports wagering. And we just became a really synergistic fit. You know, we had our trading floor and our expertise in U.S. data and U.S. pricing, and we plugged all of that into the OpenBet platform to provide a more comprehensive solution for that first wave of operators in the U.S., and that's kind of how that went down. So we sold the company to them. I stayed on for 2 years to assist with that transition, and I guess in 2020 is when I left them, which was kind of in the height of all the COVID situation and the COVID madness as well.
So tell me about Avenue H Capital and your presence here at G2E. Now that you've moved on from Scientific Games, Don Best, what have you, what are you doing now, and where does life take Benji Cherniak these days?
Yeah, I think the key there is Benji Cherniak. Avenue H Capital really is just me. You know, okay. It's not a slew of employees, or it's just really myself. And, you know, I'm involved in a few different things. As many people know, I do some investing in this space, and I'm highly involved with the startup ecosystem, do a fair bit of advisory work, working with the next generation of entrepreneurs within iGaming. And, you know, obviously I know the sports betting space reasonably well, both in the U.S. and beyond, so that's a labor of love and an area of passion for me. I do some consulting work. I'm kind of interested these days in emerging sports leagues that, you know, I think can become part of the ecosystem moving forward. And I'm also sitting on some boards. I'm on the board of Kambi, which is a global platform provider. I'm on the board of a company called Kiro Sports, which is an emerging company in the micro betting space. So if you add all those things together, you get a reasonably full day and a number of projects that I'm involved in. And, you know, I think one of the key things, Brady, that as I get involved with projects is I want to ensure I'm working with great people, and I want to ensure that I'm enjoying what I'm doing and having fun.
And being here on the floor at G2E, are you kind of trying to network and seek out opportunities with those types of people, or candidates rather?
Got to be honest, a little bit less so. I'm not spending that much time. I mean, the floor is fantastic. I'm not spending that much time wandering the floor. Most of my time is spent in meetings around the Venetian and around town. I kind of, you know, G2E has always been, if not the busiest, one of the busier weeks of the year for me, and a little bit of a marathon and a sprint at the same time, and almost like speed dating, a whole bunch of those half-hour to 45-minute meetings one after another, but not as much time as I would like to spend on the floor and meeting with new companies and assessing new opportunities as I would like.
Do you see yourself gravitating more towards the sports-related gaming business, or are you just looking at gaming in general? Are you a sports fan at heart, and maybe that's kind of the direction you tend to go, or is that not the case?
It's a fantastic question, right? Like, my expertise and my network and what I'm known for is more of the sports betting side. You know, Don Best is synonymous with U.S. sports betting, so there's no question that I spent a fair bit of my time there. But when you look at the iGaming ecosystem, it's more than just sports betting, right? And sports betting is even more than just sports betting. It's about sports engagement, right? And it's about fan engagement and fan engagement in the real money gaming ecosystem. You know, it includes casino, and it includes fantasy, and it includes legislated sports betting, and now we've got sweeps, and we've got skill games, and all of these things come together. And when you look at the leagues themselves and individual sports teams are looking at, you know, how can we use some of these different types of products to help further engage and make the fan experience more interesting. And the fan is evolving, right? There's a next generation of consumers in the sports betting world, and that's more of a TikTok generation that you and I didn't grow up with. And the way in which the next generation of consumers views the sports engagement experience is very different than the way that you and I grew up to it. And, you know, people don't necessarily want to watch a 9-inning baseball game for 3 hours. They want to watch compartmentalized segments within that, and they want to find engagement tools that assist them in maximizing engagement, whether that's fantasy or sports betting or some component within sports betting or casino that caters to that.
It's all starting to merge, isn't it? I mean, and you just look at the floor here at the Venetian Expo Center. Sports betting was you know, a blip on the radar for many years here at G2E, and the expansion continues to grow. Like I say, as it merges with the entire casino experience, it's becoming all one, right? I mean, we're doing more casino content here on Sports Grid. People like FanDuel and DraftKings and these sports betting companies are now starting to incorporate, you know, online gaming with slot machines. It's all becoming one big game, right?
Well, I mean, first of all, you talk about like Sports Grid is kind of like the hub of all that content. So you're at the heart of it in every which direction, right? And look, these worlds do merge, right? And you're right. You think back 15 years ago, you and I are old enough that we were here at G2E 15 years ago, and the iGaming section was a section of zero. There was no iGaming
right.
section. And then, you know, eventually, you know, you began to see some of the big behemoths like a Sport Radar and a Genius start to have small booths, but not within an iGaming section, within the bricks and mortar section that eventually carved out iGaming, and now we're at a point where iGaming is a significant component of this whole thing. But you know, it didn't happen overnight. It's been an evolution, and even the legislated iGaming within the U.S., sports betting and casino, we're in the infancy. You know, I don't know if we're in the first inning, but we're, if not in the first inning, maybe in the second or third. You know, this is here to stay, and you know, we're still figuring out what this is all going to look like in the decades that come.
Well, I love the baseball references because Benji and I are old guys who still do like a 9-inning baseball game, and I can't wait for the playoffs to start up.
As long as there's
later
no extra
today.
innings. As long as there's no extra innings.
My friend, how can people find you if they want to, you know, knock on your door and get some consulting or what have you done with you?
You know what? Honestly, the best way to come to me is through a referral of some sort, only because I get so much blind outreach and it's hard to really manage and process it all. So if you're looking for advisory, investment help, and you just reach out on LinkedIn, I'm going to try to reply, but I get overwhelmed with too much demand as it pertains to just cold outreach. So if you see someone in your network who you're friendly with, who knows me, and can get that warm facilitation introduction, that would be my number one recommendation. My number two would be reached out to me on LinkedIn. Not hard to find, Benji Cherniak. I'll try to reply, but it's it might take a little bit longer.
Very good. That is Benji Cherniak, the principal of Avenue H Capital. Thank you very much for joining us, sir, and enjoy the rest of your week.
Thank you so much for having me.
Welcome back to Sports Grid, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Brady Cannon here with you, and we are joined now by Mark Sandzik. He is the founder of BettorTogether and was just educating me a little bit on this brand new startup sports betting company. It is involving DFS, and I love the catchy name, BettorTogether. It's a team of two teaming up in a DFS format. Mark, thank you so much for joining us. Explain to the audience a little bit, as you did just recently to myself, How does this work at BettorTogether?
Yeah, thank you very much for having me. Really appreciate it. BettorTogether is a cooperative daily fantasy platform. So we have two-man teams. They join a contest, pay their entry fee, and they are now on a team competing against other teams of two. Throughout the contest, you're managing and working together to maximize your cooperative bankroll by making player prop picks, and when you both really like a pick together, you can boost your odds to give your team a competitive advantage over all of the other teams in that same contest. And so you talk what you like, what you don't like, what your strategy is, kind of try to figure it out, and really you can work together. You at least have someone else to bounce some ideas off of and talk strategy to try to figure out what gives you guys the best chance to win. And so teams at the end of the contest with the largest bankroll win.
Now I know you're pretty much brand new here, but in a average contest, you've got a two-man team. Are they competing against maybe 50 to 100 other teams, or is it thousands? Or
so
obviously you want thousands someday.
We want thousands. The intent is really much more for entertainment. So it's a single entry contest. They're designed to be very immersive, so you don't have to use all your money pre-contest. We have in-game player prop markets as well. So it is intended to be very entertaining and immersive. Right now the contest size varies based on how many users we have, so it would be a 10-team contest, 20-team contest, so it's not like a lottery chance at winning one of those Mega Million contests that you'll see on some other platforms, but it really is for fun and entertainment and to collaborate and work together.
We'll get in early because when this gets really popular, you may have thousands of people. You might be able to make a little money now. And as Mark was explaining to me earlier, I really like the concept of this. It's daily fantasy, but it's not traditional fantasy points for scoring touchdowns. You're using prop bets. So you're partnering with another gentleman, you're making a team, and you're choosing prop bets from all over the Sunday slate of NFL, college football, what have you, and putting that card together, and you compete against, however many other teams are involved on that particular day, that particular contest, and you try and win. Where did this concept come from? Are you a sports fan, a sports bettor at heart?
Yeah.
And where did this development originate?
Absolutely, yes. Longtime sports fan, longtime fantasy player, typically a co-manager in those leagues. It's just something that I like to do, how I like to play. Similarly, what I was mentioning earlier, I bounce ideas off my co-manager, and we end up setting up better lineups. I've won a couple of my fantasy seasons so far throughout the years, and a lot of that I think is in part to having a partner in those co-managing leagues. So, it was something that I think a lot of people often will text with their friends, look on social to try to get some insight or get a leg up, and in my experience it is better when you're in it together. So that was kind of where the concept came from. It was based on a lot of things, interactions and behaviors that I do with my friends and what I see online, and a lot of other people are already engaging in those behaviors but don't really have a formal legal way to do so. So I wanted to mimic what we're seeing in video games, in other sports, in pretty much anything that has a two-man team. I think it's applicable to daily fantasy as well, and that didn't exist in the space, and I wanted to make it happen.
So you mentioned you're pretty darn young. When did BettorTogether start?
So we started development in September of 2022, and we launched in both the Apple and Google Play Store in January of this year.
Wow. Okay, so let's call it 10 months old or so.
Yeah.
Certainly brand new. And are you legal everywhere, or how does that work? Yeah,
so we have free-to-play options in all 50 states where you can play with your friends just for fun, and we have a leaderboard where we give out monthly prizes for participation and success in contests that are free to play. We're legal in 4 states: Texas, California, Illinois, and Florida.
Okay, so you've got real money in a handful of spots. Now, is that one of the reasons for coming here to G2E this week, is to try and network and possibly get yourselves into real money games in more states?
Absolutely. That's definitely one of the things. Get our name out there, meet other people who have been through similar situations. We're still early on, so trying to learn from what other people have done and how they've succeeded, and get recommendations of where we need to be going next, and how we can continue to grow our business and increase our user base, and potentially partnership or investment that could get us into other markets where we currently cannot operate due to legislation.
And how do you make your money, if you don't mind me asking? Is there a commission, or let's say an entry fee, and you take a percentage?
Correct.
Service fee.
Service fee. That's how our app operates. We take a percentage of the prize pool. We don't have a subscription. The app's free to download. You can play for fun again, or depending on the contest structure and layout, we would take a portion of the total pot.
So ultimately, Mark Sandzik, his dream is 10 years from now, you want the entire country playing this, and you're collecting those little percentages. That's the long-term goal, I assume.
Yeah, definitely. Or I think it would. There could be leagues of it, make a sport of it. I think there's...
Could go 1,000 different directions, right?
Yeah, a lot of different directions. But yeah, I think it would be a lot of fun. People watch Twitch streamers, people watch people playing video games. Why wouldn't you want to watch it and follow people who you're already following on a lot of social platforms? So if we could create some form of teams or leagues and kind of make a sport of it is one vision I have for it. But yeah, I would love for everyone who wants to make watching sports a little more fun and a little more social, and a lot of camaraderie that comes from being a part of a team that is kind of hard to find.
Well, it is a great name, obviously tied into having that two-man team, BettorTogether. So where can people find you? You mentioned the Apple, the Google Play Store, that type of thing. I assume there's a BettorTogether.com, that type of thing?
Yeah, so we have a website, BettorTogether.co, www.BettorTogether.co, and it's really just an informational website to drive you to download the app, but we are a mobile-only application, so we don't have a desktop interface, just a mobile app.
Phones are the way of the future, aren't they?
Phones are the way of the future.
I was just learning that. I'm an old man. I'm starting to figure that out. That is Mark Sandzik. He is the founder of BettorTogether right here on Sports Grid. Thank you so much, my friend.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
Adam Kaplan, COO of Sports Grid here at G2E in Las Vegas with the newly installed CEO of PrizePicks, Mike Ibarra. Mike, thanks for joining us.
Great to be here.
Given that you're new in the role, I think it'd be great to hear from you a bit about your background and introduce you to our audience and community.
Yeah, it's great to be at G2E. What a conference. A lot going on here. Been with the company for about 3 months now, and so coming from Activision Blizzard, it's funny, I was basically done for a while. The phone rings, I hear this PrizePicks company, and I'm like, what is this? And I look into the business, the industry, I see the growth profile, and DFS space is super exciting, and I'm a big sports fanatic, so the passion lines up well.
I would love to hear a bit about your strategy in doing that, obviously coming into PrizePicks, with Adam Wexler, founder and CEO, moving to executive chairman and founder. So I would love to hear a bit of insight in how that's working and how things are going.
Yeah, it's going great. Adam's a great person. He knows this industry super well. And so one of the first things before deciding to join PrizePicks was, what's that relationship and where's Adam at? Because as a founder, it's actually difficult to kind of step aside and give the reins to someone else from an operations standpoint. At the same time, I think Adam's smart enough to look at the business and go, we need some operation rigor and some focus in here to really scale this thing going forward. If I look back at the last 2 years, the growth profile is fantastic. But the next 2 years, I think it's even better. And Adam realizes that and knows he had to bring in some operation muscle to really drive the business going forward. So we're all very excited about it.
What do you think is going to be a catalyst for the acceleration of that growth profile?
Yeah, for us, we look at the DFS space, and the profile already is significant. The more we can innovate in the products and the game types and the modes that we bring to consumers, to players, and the more we can broaden it and reduce the complexity, I think the TAM opportunity is just incredible to see. So that's our focus.
And I think that's one of the areas that PrizePicks has really excelled. And so I would love to hear you talk about where you think the team has done well on end-to-end customer experience, but then also, where that needs to go in the future to get you guys to where you want to go.
Yeah, you hit a great point. When I was looking at the company, the first thing I noticed from the team was their incredible player-first mindset. They're obsessed with the players, the experiences they have. Even the brand, if you look at the PrizePicks brand, it's established itself incredibly well because it's young, it's hip, they speak straight to the players all of the time. So I was incredibly impressed by their ability to do that. If I look forward, I think there's still a lot of opportunity to do a lot of progress in the area in taking the application framework, the deposit scenarios, the marketing at the state and the national level, and how we speak about the brand and get it out there. So there's a lot of opportunity, but the team, they've done a fantastic job.
What do you think are some new area or growth opportunities you guys would like to pursue?
When I look at DFS and where it is today, I don't actually think you have to look beyond DFS to see that growth opportunity. You're seeing things like micro come in, where people do their lineups before the game, but most of our players, they're sitting there in their app as they're watching the game, and how do we interact with them from both a social standpoint with them and their friends on the platform, but also from a micro standpoint on lineups real time during the game. So for me, we're looking at all those areas. We have 3 products. We have our core DFS product, we have a peer-to-peer product, and we have a free-to-play product. And I think on the free-to-play side, you're going to see us innovate a lot to bring the top of the funnel, to get people in and into these experiences that love sports and get engaged in all new ways.
Bold predictions are something that we talk a lot about on the network. I think generally it'd be good to get a sense from you what you think might be coming down the pike in the industry at large.
Well, I mean, everybody's talking about, the micro in general here, and I think that's going to be a big one for us. How we get more engagement with our players, play to play, call to call, I think that's a huge opportunity that we're going to be looking at. And then I'll go back to the free to play space. A lot of people want to get in and want to understand this, but they're a little intimidated because of what they read in the press, or an app experience might be harder than they expect. So for us, I think it's those 2 areas, the micro space, the free to play space, and how we just build the moat in the states that we play in now. And our relationship with regulators has never been better, so we feel a lot of momentum there as well.
Awesome. So what would you say to Sports Grid viewers who may have tried PrizePicks or maybe haven't tried PrizePicks? What's your pitch to them to get them on the platform?
Easiest experience, we have your back. We're always innovating on scenarios where I think players feel like a player got injured in the first or second quarter and their lineup's just out the door. Adam's done such a great job bringing a culture of having the players back, and we're going to continue to do that.
You heard it here, guys. Mike Ibarra, new CEO of PrizePicks in Las Vegas from the G2E showroom floor. Mike, thank you for your time.
Thanks
for
a lot.
coming.
Nice to meet you.